Right, you're live now. And
Okay. Evening, everyone. Lovely to be with you. And those of you that are going to join us, thank you very much for taking your time aside to be here. So wait for a few people to join, I expect. Do we wait for a few people to join?
yeah, we'll wait for a few people to join. We're going to ask Jonathan a few questions about the ongoing awakening and what is happening with the world at the moment. We're not answering personal questions tonight, so if you could stay away from them and just keep it to the current ongoings. We've already got 37 people in. We might not be able to get to all your questions tonight. We will try our best, but we think there might be a lot of people interested in this video, so there might be a lot of questions coming in quite quickly. So me and Lucy will do our best with that. You've been doing different things lately. Obviously, you've had to cancel all your shows that are coming up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's for the best, for everyone's safety, you know. Especially if there's older people turning up to the show, we don't want to put them at any risk. But, you know, we will send out some prayers tonight for the world, for the people. And we ask that perhaps you join us in this prayer tonight. Okay? So, if everyone is ready, I did a prayer previously, but we will do another one together, all of us. And those of you that are there, perhaps just concentrate your thoughts on positive healing for the world and for the people of the world as well, because that would be wonderful. A collective group of us doing that for everyone.
Yeah, obviously you did your London show recently. How did that go? That was
Yeah, went well,
just
didn't
over a
it?
week
You
ago now.
know, we wanted to do that, so that went very well. It was a smaller group of people, and they were all very nice, and we thank them for coming along to the show. It was very enjoyable, and perhaps when things settle down, another time, maybe next year, we could do one there, but it all depends on what is going to be happening right now. So
Yeah, anyone that wants readings in the meantime, obviously she isn't doing any home readings at the moment, but you can book online either Facebook or through the website. Yeah, you are still doing Skype and Messenger and things like that.
Yeah, I'm still doing Skype readings, telephone readings, Messenger readings, but as for home face-to-face readings, that'll be off the menu for a while, as you know. It's nothing to offend anyone, but it's just that we all need to keep ourselves as separate as possible. But hopefully through this separation, there will be a togetherness eventually. It might change us all, I expect it will. So if you're ready to join me in prayer, then we can go ahead.
I will keep it, if we could wait a little while for people to come in.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll wait for others first then.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm rushing it.
We've got to 100 at the moment, so we'll give it another couple of minutes maybe.
Yeah. As for trance, I know we always have new people watching. I know a lot of you already know about trance, but if you could explain what you do in trance, just so if anyone new comes in.
Well, what I do with trance, as most of you know, I know, those of you who don't know, you go into a sort of a state of self-hypnosis. You relax to music or relax to peace. Everyone does it differently. And then the guide steps into my energy. Your energy, when you go into that state of mind, begins to widen. Although it's invisible to the naked eye, it's there. We all are made up of energy, and everything that surrounds us is energy. So they will step into that energy with their own and manipulate your energy with theirs and start to adjust your vocal cords to speak. So that and many other explanations of trance is what happens. So I don't know how they change the voice. That can happen with mediums. Sometimes the guy prefers to speak in what sounded like their voice when they were on Earth. But it doesn't happen with all mediums, although somewhat of wording changes. You'll notice the difference. And that is what happens with trance. And they also impress thoughts on our mind, much like a clairvoyant medium. They impress thoughts onto our mind and then they bring them into words. So because they haven't got a physical voice, they use us to create a physical voice in your world. So they need us as mediums to go into trance in order for us to do this.
Yeah. Jonathan has been making a lot of predictions this year, well, for this year, over the last couple of years. So we are going to ask some questions about that. I think we are near enough ready to go into trance now. If you're ready. If you're ready to say. Everyone's spoken, so we're going to give Jonathan the chance to speak on the subject now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it up to him then. Better do as he's told. Right, okay, I'll do the prayer, then we'll have a little bit of music on, okay?
Yep.
Right, everybody, it's your choice. If you want to join me in prayer, then it's entirely up to you, but I will go ahead with that anyway. We ask that my spirit guide, Jonathan, and all of your guides around you, around the world, in heaven, we all connect tonight. This should be a special evening around the world, everywhere, for all of us to come together as one and pray. Know that it's not about religion and it's nothing of that nature. It's about praying to the spirits, to the heavens, to God, if you want to call God God, you know, to an energy that is of love, light and truth. So we ask that everything be done in love, light and truth this evening, and we ask that our prayers will be sent out to the world in order for this terrible virus that we are all experiencing right now to be healed and for the people of the world to be healed. We ask that this is a test for us right now, we understand that, but we know that with your help, Father, we will try to overcome it. We know that there have been many diseases in the world before, but never seemed to be anything as much as what this is today. It's such a terrible, sad thing, Father, and we know that you can see what's going on. So we ask you, help us all come together through this terrible time and to love one another, and not to fight, but to come together to help one another as best we can. And then in our separations, that we will learn something. Will you help us be renewed and to be awakened somehow to what is going on and what can be improved in our lives. So we ask that you bring everything in love, light and truth, happiness and harmony, positivity, and that you will place the utmost of healing, love and the greatest of protection over each one of us in this world. And we ask that this will continue with us now throughout the days of our lives, and that anyone out there who is suffering with this and many other illnesses, may healing go out to them at a time that is most needed. It's not always the coronavirus. Some others will suffer with other terrible illnesses and they are afraid right now, Father. So I please pray, all of us pray that you will help them all. Amen. Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening.
You are most welcome, sir, yes. We thank you for bringing this together.
That's okay. We've got Lucy with us tonight and a lot of people online waiting to ask their questions. First of all, if I could ask you a few questions before I go to the comments in the live chat. You have made some predictions for 2020 for a long time now, maybe a good couple of years. The first prediction you made for us for this year, which I believe was in a group, I don't know if it is on video or not for people to see, but you predicted that we'll see our Earth burning. Was that what we saw in Australia with the land burning?
Yes, that is right. And of course, the volcanic activity that has been happening in different parts of the world, but that is not always quite so prevalent in other countries, just volcanic vibration and eruption of earthquake. But yes, it was the fires of Australia.
You then said that would be closely followed by a mass exodus, which would lead to a spiritual awakening. Could you tell us what is a mass exodus, and is that relating to what we're going through at the moment with this virus that's spreading around the world?
Yes, that is, yes. I explained it in a way that mass exodus means a lot of people passing to the spirit world, although we don't want to look at it as frighteningly negative, that we say that souls would have a choice to depart from the world as soul groups to go back in mass. And of course, most of these people would be elderly, most of these people would be infirm. But although they are still afraid, it is human nature to be afraid, because they are afraid of how it is going to turn out and what they're going to have to suffer with. But I would say that their souls had chosen to pass in certain conditions. And many other souls in the past have chosen to go in disasters or with disease or all other things that come about in your world. So mass means a great amount of, and exodus means exit. It would mean an exit of these beings to go back home again, because this is only a temporary measure. This is just a temporary place that you come to be in a human experience.
Okay, thank you for that. Hopefully that will clear things up for people wondering what's going on. We will go to the live chat now. Have you got any questions, Lucy?
Just trying to scroll back to the top so we can try and answer as many as we can.
I will say that it may get worse. Well, it will get worse before it gets better. It is like a little bit like an open wound at the moment, isn't it? With an open wound, you either bandage it up to cover it up. But this is very open. And so it has to be somewhat of a separation for you all. But families are still going to be together, yes. But there will be much separation of mass groups. When you are used to circulating with that amount of people, or you are used to being with your friends, this may be a testing time for you. But you will find that you will create togetherness with your families. You will have time for each other that you perhaps didn't have before. And you will learn to go inside yourself and become at one with yourself. It doesn't mean to say that you are going to sit for hours being by yourself or meditating by yourself. What it means to say is you will do things that you wouldn't normally do. You will start to appreciate life, so that when you do eventually start to go back to your normal daily functioning, you will have greater appreciation of life. You will start to notice things that you didn't notice before, that the earth has given to you. So you will go through these dark days. You will get a person that has awakened, and they will go through a spiritual awakening in many stages. They will perhaps start off asking questions about why they feel like they do. They suddenly perhaps become very dark, very depressed, and start to question everything and as to why they feel like that. So they go through what you call a dark time before they truly start to understand the awakening. You see. And that period may last for different amounts of time with each individual. But that is on an explanation of an individual basis. When you come to looking at mass with thousands and millions of people across the world, it has to go across the world, all of this, in order for you to awaken and understand. You all have to go through the dark times in life. But this is one massive dark time, and then one massive awakening. So there are brighter times ahead, but you will all come together a little bit more than what you used to. You will all understand that there is an afterlife that you can connect with at any time that you so wish. You are all as one with the universe, but half of you do not even connect to it or understand it. There are many things to learn. Learning is eternal, but you will get through these dark days. But unfortunately, yes, it is a bit of a sad and frightening time. But you will learn many things from it. The world is not going to end. It is showing you many things at the moment. The world itself has always grown and evolved. Lands have separated to create new. And that will continue to happen, but it will sometimes happen with greater velocity. So you are having an awakening, and so is the world. She is evolving with you. She is going through all of what you are going through. Everything has to change. It cannot remain the same. Progression is, and it will always progress, but a huge surge of progression is happening on your earth right now, and it will continue to do this for some time. So many of you that are already understanding or somewhat understanding of the spiritual awakening, it is not all about sudden brightness and happiness and skipping around the place. You'll go through a dark time first. Sometimes you will question yourself. Sometimes you will ask why we need to go through that at all. But you know, in order to understand unconditional love, you need to go through every emotion possible. You need to look outside of yourself and see others for who they are and why they behave like they do. And then you need to learn how to forgive. This will be a huge time ahead. It will be a testing time, but lightness will come. It will wash over your world like you have never known it. And we, on the other side, are very joyous about this. We understand that this is a sad occasion, and we are here for you. So I wait with bated breath for these questions that you will bring me, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. But you need to remember that I do not have all of the answers.
Yeah, we understand you don't have all the answers, and you're not able to give us all the answers.
Yes.
Anything is a help to people.
Of course.
Thank you, Jonathan. I've gone back up to the beginning because we had a few questions that were coming through as Elaine was going into trance to bring you through. So I'll start with a couple of the first ones that came through. One of the first questions we had was from a Sean Rogers, who says, the virus, I believe, is for world change because of power over others, including animals, and for earth cleansing. Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts would be yes, I would quietly agree with that, because we see how your animals are treated. Your animals will bring you nothing but unconditional love. But you've got to understand that some of them are meant to be in the wild. Some of them are meant to be free, although you would want to hold them and stroke them. That is periodical. But they do carry things. They do carry different diseases and things within them, or different viruses. Yes, they do. They are meant to be in the wild. They are meant to have a journey much like yourselves. There are certain animals that you cannot get near because they would attack you, and then they would maim you and kill you. But they are beautiful to look at from afar, you see. And some are bred in captivity. So you can somewhat get near to them, but as time goes on, the wildness within them will still exist through their ancestry, and they could turn on you at any moment. It doesn't mean to say that they all are going to, but in this discussion, look at animals, look at the beauty of them, look at the high wisdom of them. They are very highly evolved, but they have their fears and issues to overcome, much like yourselves. But when it comes to unconditional love, they have nothing but forgiveness. Most of your household pets, it doesn't matter if you tread on their tail or whatever you do, they will still love you. So you've got to understand that animals are nature. Nature is not to be messed about with because it will retaliate. Unfortunately, that it does. You've got to understand that negative will run alongside positive. So I hope that answers at least some of your question, my dear, but yes, you've got to take a look at things from the outside in, and you've got to go within too. All of this is going to be.
Tiffany Nichols asked, "Evening, Jonathan. Do you know how long this virus will last and the impact it will have on Earth?"
Well, I'm not going to put a final point upon it where an actual date or a month is concerned, but I did discuss the month of May at one point where things would reach a peak. And that's only a couple of months away, so it's not going to go away in a couple of months. I will assure you that it's going to take quite some time, because if it is virulent, it will get amongst many. Some of you will have a mildness of the virus, some of you will be, unfortunately, succumb to it. But I don't want to place fear into people. That is not what this is about. I would say that Elaine was doing a painting, and that was a message. So the 6-month period, at least 6 months, that this is going to be going along for before it starts to subside. And then there will be somewhat of a slowing down, because you will have your separation from one another, and that will help contain it somewhat. It will contain it. But yes, it will start to make improvement. And I will go into your warmer months of the year when I see things to start to really subside and start to make progress. But as for your vaccine, that has to be studied on many others before it has to be studied, before it can be put out into the public. There has to be a certainty that it's not going to have some sort of side effect here, that it's going to be more problems than the rest of the virus itself. So it takes time. So I do see that within the 18 months to 2-year period, things will be very quickly developed in that sense. And everything has to be thoroughly tested before it can be given to your public. There, of course, there's only going to be a certain amount of it available. The ones that are going to suffer most will need it first. So it will work out in the end. You see, man is going to evolve all of the time. They will battle through anything. Look how much you have overcome. If you can overcome all of that through all of those years, think of what you could overcome now. You've all come together, really, haven't you? Your computers, your televisions, everything gives you all of the information that you need now. In our day, none of that would have been available. The virus would have come in, that would be it. You would have only the newspapers to tell you. And if you didn't have a newspaper, you didn't know. So the poor families that didn't get a newspaper would suffer. You see, they would have to suffer and lose their loved ones. They had no idea. But in this day and age, you have an idea. You're given it left, right, and center. All of the information that you need, but it tends to get people a little unnerved. And so they tend to panic. They tend to run from each other. One gets offended when one moves back and all of that. We see it all going on. If you are meant to have it, you will get it. If you are not, you won't. I will say to you that they are talking about everybody getting it, but I would say Not all will. If they hide themselves away, they're not really going to get it. But will they be susceptible to the next lot? You see, it's something that we would not give you an answer on at a certain time. You see, it's a period of testing, and it's a period of overcoming. And I will say that your more warmer months of the year will carry greater certainty.
Andy Johnson asked, "Dear Jonathan, can spirit intervene at this critical time and help the world get rid of this virus?"
We see that you are all praying hard, and we do listen, and it will be answered, but not of an immediate. You would say, well, why would your God stand back and let us go through all this? It's all part of the greater picture, you see. All of it. You see, you go through the bad to get to the good. But unfortunately, man doesn't always have complete power over these things. They strengthen, and they mutate, and they grow stronger, and they do kill the weak. But that has a reason behind it, because all of those souls chose to go in that way. Every soul has to have a plan as to how the human is going to dissipate and the soul is going to be released back to the spirit world. Otherwise, that's it. You won't go back there. You are certain to go back there. Each soul has a plan as to how it's going to go. And sometimes you will get a mass group of souls that will go in the same direction, and they will say, well, yes, this is the way that we are going to go back home again when our life is finished here. Some go through disaster, some through disease. Lots of different ways that each soul plans to go, but it has to go back when the life is completed. Whether it be a short life or a long life, it will still go at the time that it has planned. So if you have not planned to go with this virus, and you have planned to go another way, you will not go with the virus. So do not sit in your chairs being afraid there. I would say you will go when your time is meant to be. I would say look inside yourselves and see the greater picture for what it is. As humans, you do not really understand why. When you come to this side, you will know the reason why. It's all part of everything. Being in a human life, you had to accept that the physical body was going to go wrong sometimes, or viruses would attack it. It is made up of matter, physical matter, whereas the spirit is made up of soul. It does not have a physicality. So I invite other questions, because I don't want to take everyone's time up, but yes, I do invite more.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. We have another question. Was this meant to happen deliberately to make humans awaken?
Everything in its place. As I mentioned previously, the massive puzzle of life, and it is always unfinished. But these things come for a purpose. It is not cruelty, really. It would be seen as a torture in some way. Yes, you would see it that way because you are human, but we know the different side of it. We know that you will emerge from it. It doesn't mean to say that the world is going to be pure, because negative will always be there. But there will be greater positive, greater appreciation of life and everything that surrounds you that you don't take any notice of usually. Greater togetherness, although there is separation. Your computers, they were deliberately invented by a soul that came here to make a difference, and other souls that came in to, I would say, upsurge it a little bit, that your world would remain in communication through times like this. If we did not have it, then we would not be communicating here now. So it serves an absolutely amazing, beautiful purpose, doesn't it?
A man named Blasenko asked, "Is there any amount of fraud or manipulation by our rulers in current events related to the epidemic? And if yes, what kind and how much?"
Ah, well then I don't want to get Elaine into trouble there. So there's certain things that I will answer, and I will do that on a personal level. But in a public level, I have to be careful what I say for her sake.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lay the blame upon anyone. It is a virus. Viruses come about, and they do get stronger. You see, they evolve much like human beings evolve. Viruses evolve, but unfortunately, they're not very nice. And you will get these places that will want to test viruses, you see. They want to test them in order to see how they can cure them for the future, how they can bring these things under control. So there has to be places that test them, you see, my dear, because if they didn't, they wouldn't understand what these viruses were about and how they mutate. So these laboratories need to know about these things.
A lady asked, I can't remember the name, so I can't see the question now, but a lady asked, what has Glastonbury got to do with the spiritual awakening?
Well, Glastonbury is a wonderful spiritual place, isn't it? It always has been. It's very part pagan as well. But I will say that it's a place where ley lines are. There are many ley lines in many parts of the world, but I would say that there are ley lines in Glastonbury, but it is a very spiritual place, and it always has been for many centuries, where people would gather. So you see, there are part of the part of the world, in every part of the world there is a spiritual place, isn't there? Somewhere where you see as holy that you would go, or spiritual that you would go to gather together. It does not matter where you pray in the world. You could be anywhere at any time you could pray. You are still heard. But if a group of mass get together and form the prayer, the power of the mass consciousness coming together and asking for something like that will definitely be heard. It will echo throughout the heavens.
Thank you, Jonathan. Andy Johnson has asked, said the Exodus has started. When will the awakening begin?
The awakening has been happening as a slow process, but enough is enough, because it needs to happen in a big way now. You see, it needs to go global. And those who will listen will awaken. Those who want to ignore it, well, we are not going to punish them. But they will eventually, this awakening will bring many truths to the surface. No more hiding under a bushel. These truths, these lies, these terrible things will all surface. You can see that it is happening now. You are not going to be able to hide anymore. You have to come out in the open and face truth.
Okay.
And through that truth comes somewhat punishment for some people on your earthly terms. But, you know, it is a raising of awareness in your world, is to, I would say, try to come together a little more as one. But part of the awakening, there are many aspects to it. And many of your mediums and foretellers will let you know what the awakening is about as well. They will have many different ways of explaining it. But it is going back to you. I always tell people that life is a little bit like a maze. You go through all of the turnings, you may come to dead ends, you may go through all these different paths and get frightened and confused, not knowing where you're going. Eventually, you get to the center. That, in earthly terms speaking, it is meaning that you eventually find yourself. If not in this life, in the next, and the one after that.
Sylvia Stocks asked, will the global world leaders change at all towards humankind and Mother Earth? Will they stop being greedy and put what matters before money?
Well, there are going to be, and I will say this now, there are going to be many protests. And of course you have your young girl that is creating these protests and wanting to bring information forward that people are destroying the world. But others will try to say, well, it's just conspiracy. It's not really happening. The world has always done this. The world has always done that. Yes, it has. But if you have noticed, it is happening at greater velocity. That with all of the help and with all of your cooperation, you could slow it down a little bit. You see, but you must understand that the world is also changing, evolving. It is never ever going to stay the same. New islands will arise as they are doing now. Partitions of islands will happen, and water they will go beneath.
Thank you, Jonathan. We have Elisa Hip has asked, is this the solar flare or the light they have talked about for years and years?
This is the light that they have spoken about, the light that comes to the earth. It is not a solar flare, my dear. Solar flares happen, yes, they do. But I will say that you talk about global warming on your Earth. It is Earth's evolvement. And all of the other planets that surround it that are supporting it, they have their changes, but you don't really notice them because you are not inhabiting them. But if you look at the world to start with, before human habitation, the world to start with was a mass with volcanic activity and all sorts of what you would see as negative things going on within it. But it created plantation and able to have life form living upon it, which would spend time evolving over millions and millions of years. So it's not only humans that have evolved, or animals or insects, plants have evolved. Everything is evolving, moving forward. Sometimes you go back to move forward. Sometimes you go right backwards to move forward, you see. Everything has to evolve, even the earth. She is never going to stay the same. You may even have to have a pole shift. Then what is man going to do about that? A pole shift is huge. That could be the evolvement of the earth in time to come. But again, don't sit on the edge of your seats and worry about that. We want you to live your lives. When this is all over with, you'll start milling about and living again. Test after test comes to the people of the earth. Some countries have terrible atrocities happening to them with the earth's evolvement. The earth will erupt to create all of the new land. It will be refreshed and beautiful as an eventuality. New plant forms, new islands, new places to live. Man will build upon it, as they always do. Evolvement.
Okay, I do have a question. Our governments have chosen to deal with this very different ways. For example, Britain is choosing to try to get along with normal life, and other countries have come to a complete standstill. Is there a right or wrong way to be dealing with this crisis?
Well, you will all come together and find a way. Humans have to search about finding a way to evolve to get the answers, you see. And you won't always have the answers. It's just a matter of coming together, and others will follow suit. They will watch what other countries are doing. They will follow suit as eventuality. They'll all try in their different ways as humans and different cultures to find a way to sort things out. That is human existence. We watch you. You're all going about your daily lives, and you're all doing roughly the same thing. You're all emotional beings. You all get afraid. And when something big like this comes along, you get even more afraid. So you scare each other. And you all run and hide, but what good is that going to do? I would say, all of you, bide your time and know that the best will be yet to come. Always see something good around the corner. Do not sit in misery and think, well, we're all doomed. Don't think that. The world is going to go on, and you will go on. Those that are meant to pass will pass. Those that are meant to stay will stay. Look at life as it is. Sit in the quiet and see what's around you. See what you have around you, knowing that others don't. See how lucky you are to be alive. But then also in death, you are lucky because you are going home, but a lot of you don't want to go there yet, of course, and your souls have not planned to go there. But I will say that look at life and live it. Even if you are indoors, you could live it in some way, you could occupy yourself for a while. In order to appreciate life out there, you have to appreciate life in here. When you eventually go outside again, you will begin to hear the birds, all of the little sounds that you didn't take any notice of, become alive. But that will not be with all of you. Some of you will carry on as you did before.
I've got a question. This comes from Ashley. Ashley, how can we protect ourselves energetically?
Trust. You can do it with trust. You would say that your thoughts count for everything. Whatever you think, you will bring to you. If you think positive, you're going to get positive to you. If you think negative, you're going to draw negative to you. So if you want to do that, use your thoughts as your empowerment. You see, you are limitless. This is connected to the universe. This is too. All of your energy is connected to the universe. You are as one with it. So I would say trust in your own self and your higher self. Trust in your intuitive self and what it tells you. It would not want you to be frightened or withdrawn. It would want you to be happy.
Okay, I also have a question. A lot of people have said we've become disjointed through technology. Obviously, we go out, we're on our phones, we've got our head in our phones. A lot of people socialize a lot less. Do we have to go through this time of a lot of us are going to be stuck in our houses and separating ourselves from each other to crave being around each other again?
Yes, I guess you could say that. Yes. Because you don't always appreciate one another, and when you are separated from one another for a time, love absence makes the heart grow fonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah.
So you will start to appreciate one another again.
Okay. Is there any more questions?
We have one from Andy Johnson. Says, my cats have been acting strange over the last few days. Is this because they have an awareness of forthcoming changes?
They know. Animals are very intuitive. They can see into other dimensions. So they know what is coming. They feel your anxiousness. They know energy as well, because they are energy, they are soul within. So they are feeling your anxiousness. Calm and stroke them. They will give you unconditional love and they will make you feel better.
We've been told at the end of this we're going to face a recession like we've not seen in a generation. Is that going to take a spiritual awakening to help ourselves out of that
Yes,
problem?
again, man will always come together and work it out, won't they? They build a society of people that will have greater knowledge about how to bring these things back together, and others will start to emerge again. So it is going to be a huge test, yes it is. But once people start to get out and circulate again over a slow process, then business will be as usual and it will start to quickly build up again. So what you see as a recession will quickly emerge, because people will start thinking, well, I haven't had the chance to have that or buy that, I want to have that now, but they've got to get back into their workplaces and start to circulate. So once that comes back again, then business will be as usual and it will start to build itself back up.
Okay. Been on 45 minutes now, so have you we do apologise as well if we've missed any questions. Have you got a final message for people about the virus, the spiritual awakening and everything else around it?
I would say trust in what is. stand in your own power, and believe that things will get better. You are going through a testing time, and a worrying time, of course, but it's no good you all sitting there stressing yourselves out, being so afraid, thinking that you're all doomed and that you're all going to die. You know you are truly loved, and you don't have to be alone. I would say, stay in communication with each other. Don't lose each other. Communication is the greatest thing of all. But when you emerge from this, you will be surprised what you see and who you become. I would say if you're going to spend a lot of time together at home, don't spend it bickering. Spend it trying to make amends to each other. Appreciate life. Know that we are not here for long in this physical world, and maybe you will start to love one another more. Look to the positive, not the negative. The more you base your life on fear, the more you will fear. If you don't want to fear things, then understand that the best is yet to come. If you put that into your mind, then you will fear less. So don't look at doom. Look at a dawning of a new age. Look at a dawning of a massive awakening. Some of you will have not been told this, but some of you will know it. You will feel it within. You will be buzzing. You will feel an energy like never before when you come out of your emergence. People will be very logic-minded and they will say to us, what a lot of nonsense. This is a virus, it's going to kill everybody, that is it. Yes, I guess you could think of that in a logic way, but it's not going to kill everybody. No, it isn't. It will get a little worse before it gets better, but then the wound will heal. There are always going to be viruses in your world, and unfortunately, they evolve much like you do. But you've got to be aware of what any other virus is coming on, because there will always be viruses, there will always be diseases. You are physical, but your soul is immortal. It cannot ever die. So if you look inside of yourself, that soul of yours will give you the answers from within. I would say, stay together and love one another, and know that you will emerge like the butterfly from the cocoon. God bless you all.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay. You did answer a lot of questions for us. Would you like to say a closing prayer on it?
Yes. If you'd all join me. We thank you, Father, for allowing my spirit guide, Jonathan, to come through and speak to you all. And we ask that everyone's guides on the other side and the guardian angels will take care of us all and give us reassurance that we need, and you too. We ask that we can go to you whenever we need you. And we know that you won't always give us the answer straight away. We may feel that you have deserted us at this time. We know deep down that you haven't. And we ask for healing, love, and the greatest protection over all of us in this world. And that we will all come together and help one another as best we can. We thank you, Father, and we ask for better things to happen in our world, and that we may learn something from all of these things. None of us are perfect. We know that. We ask that you help us. We don't beg you, but we ask. Help the people that are so afraid right now, and they are. I think maybe all of us are in some way. Please hear our prayer to you. We know that you exist. Amen.
Thank you. There's a lot of thank yous for doing the video coming in. Kenneth, Dawn Mosley, Baroness, which I believe is Honey, said thank you. Susan Edwards, Diane Hanks, Christopher Thompson, Shane said that was brilliant as usual. Wendy Clayton, thank you, Elaine and Jonathan. There's a lot of thank yous. I think people are grateful for you doing the video, so
Yeah,
thank you
Thanks
for doing that.
everyone for joining us, and I hope it helped you in some way. Obviously, you know, I try to get out of the way as much as I can to allow him to say what he needs to say. There will probably be more that he needs to say, but at this moment you're all questioning about this horrible virus that's going around, and that's mainly what you wanted to know about. But there are other things that I feel that he is going to say to you all. But obviously you don't want to put the fear of God in you all. That's not what he wants to do. He just wants to give us knowledge, but at the same time reassurance. So just all look after yourselves and stay well and eat well. That's what I say. And don't hide in a cupboard. Just do as you're advised to do.
Right. Okay, thank you for that. Bye, everyone.
Well.